Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. I am so glad you are here. Maybe it has been a long day, or maybe you are the kind of person who drifts off more easily when your thoughts are full of distant planets and slow, silver moons. Either way, tonight's journey is for you. There's nothing you need to do now but rest. Let your breath slow, let your thoughts soften, and let your body grow light, as if gravity has loosened its gentle grip and you have begun to float. Because tonight we will drift, quietly and unhurried, through the solar system. Not in a straight line, but in soft spirals. From sunlit cloud tops and dusty rings, to shadowed craters and oceans hidden under ice. We will not rush, and we will not count. We will simply wander, one sleepy thought at a time. Far out in the deep blue dark, there is a windy world that wears the color of twilight. Neptune. Though it is so distant that sunlight arrives as a thin memory, its atmosphere moves with startling power. Great currents sweep the upper clouds and carve pale storms into the blue, as if the planet were breathing from some hidden warmth within. In this faraway cold, motion becomes a kind of mystery. A reminder that even at the edge of the sun's light, worlds can still be lively. Turn now to a red planet with a long, quiet scar. Mars cradles a canyon system that could stretch across a continent, opening in shelves and steps and shadowed layers. It is as if the surface once sighed and gently pulled apart, leaving a labyrinth of cliffs and valleys that the thin air strokes with dust. There is no river to roar here, no forest to cling to the walls, only stone and time and the slow hush of Martian light. Close to home but wrapped in cloud, a brilliant evening star turns with its own strange rhythm. Venus rotates in a direction opposite to most planets, slowly, almost reluctantly. On this world, the sun would appear to rise where you expect it to set, and a single day stretches longer than a year. Blanketed in thick, glowing cloud, the surface holds a heavy heat. Yet above those clouds, the sky is serene and still, a veil of pearl that hides a planet of paradoxes. In the cold outer reaches, we find Uranus and Neptune again in thought, and we imagine the pressures deep below their gentle blue atmospheres. Carbon can arrange itself into crystals when squeezed and warmed in the right way. Down there, in the darkness, tiny diamonds may form and drift like bright seeds in a slow, heavy rain. It is only a model made in laboratories and in careful equations, but it is a soothing picture, glittering grains falling through a hush of blue. Return to Earth for a moment, to the only place we know where stone plates drift like slow ships above a warm mantle. The surface here is alive with movement you cannot feel while you are standing still. Mountains rise and are worn down again. Sea floors open and close. The deep earth recycles air and water and mineral, keeping the world temperate over spans of time too long to hold in a single breath. This quiet machinery beneath our feet is part of why oceans persist and why the climate, though it shifts and sways, remains gentle enough for life to thrive. Beyond Earth, small worlds wander. Some asteroids are not alone. A few are circled by tiny companions, little moons that keep them company on their long, elliptical paths. Others are not solid at all, but loose collections of stones and dust, held together by a whisper of gravity, turning slowly like ancient ruins adrift in sunlight. When spacecraft visit and touch these bodies, they do not thud upon a solid floor. They find pebbles that part and flow, a surface that behaves more like memory than like metal. Near the sun, Mercury glows in the dawn like a shy ember. It does not hold a true atmosphere, only a fragile exosphere, a mist of atoms released from its surface by sunlight and by the tiniest of impacts. The particles do not press against each other as air does here on Earth. They drift, they scatter, and they escape. The result is an invisible, ghostly lace around a small, sun-scoured world. At the center of everything in our system, the sun sings in ways too low for our ears. Pressure waves ripple through its bright body like notes in a vast instrument. And those waves let us listen with our instruments to layers we cannot touch. Deep within, hydrogen is pressed so tightly it joins into helium, and in doing so, releases light that will take a long, slow journey outward. By the time that light reaches your skin, it is only minutes old in space, but it has bounced and wandered inside the star for an age. It arrives warm and ordinary. And yet, it is the quiet reason that winds blow, that rivers run, and that leaves no which way to turn. Farther out, a planet wears a crown of ice that looks solid from afar, but is delicate up close. Saturn's rings stretch wide like a frozen halo. And yet in most places, they are thinner than a city block is tall. They are not a single sheet, but a congregation of bright fragments, from dust to stones to boulders of pure water ice, each one following its own path, while together they make a shimmering band. Small shepherd moons nudge and tidy the edges, combing waves and gaps and ripples into the rings the way wind rakes patterns across sand. Mars stirs again in our thoughts with storms that rise from red plains and sometimes grow until they wrap the planet in a soft, dim glow. The dust is so fine it floats in the thin air for weeks, turning day to amber and painting the sky with powdered rust. There is no rain to wash it away, only time and calm to let it fall. Around Jupiter, a moon of ice and shadow keeps a secret ocean. Europa wears a shell etched by ridges and lines, as if the ice had cracked and drifted, then frozen anew. Beneath that shell, the pull and release of Jupiter's gravity may keep an ocean liquid and dark and warm from below. If there is a place in our system where life could begin in secret, sheltered from sunlight and wrapped in water, this peaceful sea beneath ice is one of the most promising. On Mars again, a smooth giant rises from the plains, a shield volcano so broad it would cover whole regions on Earth. Without drifting plates to carry it away from its source, eruption after eruption piled lava upon cooled lava, until a mountain easy in slope but immense in reach swelled toward the thin sky. It stands now like a sleeping island in a sea of dust, its edges fading into distance, its summit brushing the soft edge of cloud. Look once more at Saturn's rings from another angle, and notice how the bright plane almost vanishes when seen edge on. It becomes a line, an eyelash of light. That is how thin order can be, even when it is made by billions of pieces moving together. The system holds its shape not by force alone, but by rhythm. Back on Earth, consider the way our world is built. A dense metallic heart wrapped in rock, wrapped in water and air. We are, among the planets, unusually heavy for our size, and that weight helps stir the outer core so that a protective magnetic field can bloom and stretch into space. You cannot see this shield, but you can sit beneath it and feel safe. At night, near the poles, when particles trace the field lines and spark in the thin air, the sky tells you the shield is there in veils of green and rose. The sun continues to hum and turn. Its atmosphere has a curious secret. The outermost reaches are far hotter than the bright surface we can see. The reason is a gentle riddle that spacecraft and careful measurements are learning to answer, one slow pass at a time. Somewhere in the weave of magnetism and motion, energy flows upward and warms the pale corona until it glows. Jupiter, great and banded, keeps many companions. Its 4 bright moons, seen by a small telescope from a backyard, march back and forth in a simple rhythm, like lanterns around a giant. Beyond them, a cloud of smaller bodies circles in wild paths. Some move with the planet's spin, some against it. Altogether, they shape a miniature solar system within a solar system, each world answering to the deep gravity of a planet that almost became a star. Near the poles of Mercury, where the sun's light never quite reaches down, cold lingers in the bottoms of craters. There, water ice can survive in the dark, bright to radar and ancient, hidden in a place that is both near to the sun and far from its warmth. It is comforting to think of ice resting so close to heat, separated only by walls of shadow and the patience of time. Farther out again, a distant heart-shaped plain gleams on a small world at the edge of our maps. Beneath the frost and the nitrogen snows of Pluto, there may be a layer that flows like a slushy ocean, kept from freezing solid by warmth from within and the insulation of ice above. When sunlight grows a little stronger along Pluto's long path, the surface sighs, and thin air lifts from frost to haze, then settles again when the world wanders back into cold. Here, atmosphere is a seasonal whisper. Imagine now the spaces between the stones in the asteroid belt. Cinema makes it crowded, but reality spreads these bodies far apart. A spacecraft can pass through without seeing a single rock. Most of the mass is gathered into a few large members. The rest are crumbs and shards, relics of a time when worlds were still thinking about what to become. Uranus tilts so far that it seems to roll along its path, and its seasons last for decades at a time. For a long stretch, a pole can face the sun and glow in gentle light, while the other turns away and rests in dusk. Later, the roles reverse. It is a slow, patient dance, a lesson in how many ways a world can be a world. Jupiter's invisible strength spreads wide into space and traps particles in belts so harsh that sensitive instruments must tiptoe and hide. Yet along those same magnetic lines, bright curtains of aurora shimmer over the poles, huge and quiet, responding to the flow of the solar wind like a harp to a breeze. And at the center of all of this quiet motion, the sun holds almost everything. Most of the mass, most of the gravity, most of the light. The rest of the system, planets and moons and dust, follows its warmth and its pull. When you feel the daylight on your face, you are feeling the same energy that sets weather patterns on Jupiter and draws delicate rings around Saturn and powers the faint blue glow of Neptune's storms. Beyond Neptune, a population of icy worlds circles slowly. Some are round and heavy enough to be called dwarf planets. Others are irregular and shy. Their surfaces can be bright as fresh snow or dark as soot, depending on how sunlight and chemistry and time have worked together. They are the cold archives of our system, keeping safe the ingredients from which the outer worlds were made. Still farther, beyond what we have directly seen, there may be a sphere of icy bodies that marks the soft boundary between our star's influence and the restful dark between suns. Every long while, one of those small bodies drifts inward, warms, and grows a tail of gas and dust that points away from the sun, like a brushstroke toward the night. It is a reminder that the solar system has gentle edges rather than walls. And so we float, slowly, peacefully. There is no rush, no agenda, only a soft curiosity. If your eyes grow heavy, let them close. The planets and their moons will keep their orbits. The rings will hold their shapes. The slow winds will continue to blow. You can rest while they turn. The sunlight that touches your skin has traveled across 150 million kilometers of empty space. It left the surface of the sun just 8 minutes ago. Though the energy itself was born long before, hundreds of thousands of years earlier, deep within the star's fusion core. The photons wandered endlessly through dense plasma, bouncing, scattering, and waiting for the rare chance to slip free. When they finally emerged, they spread outward as warmth, as daylight, as the soft gold that paints morning skies. Every second, billions upon billions of those tiny travelers reach our planet, and almost all pass through unnoticed. They touch oceans, clouds, forests, and you, carrying the quiet heartbeat of a star across the void. The solar wind is something different. It is not light, but matter, a stream of charged particles that never stops. It flows outward in every direction, carrying fragments of the sun's magnetic field with it, wrapping the planets in invisible lines of force. At Earth, this wind collides with our magnetic shield, deflecting most of it away, but letting a few particles slip through near the poles. There they dance with the upper atmosphere, creating the auroras, those slow, shimmering curtains of green, violet, and red that ripple in the night. When you see them, you are watching the solar wind made visible, sunlight turned to silk. The solar wind does not end abruptly. It weakens gradually as it moves farther into space. Eventually, there is a place where the pressure from interstellar gas pushes back. That boundary, called the heliopause, is the true edge of the sun's breath. The Voyager spacecraft have crossed it now, tiny metal seeds carrying the whispers of human voices and music, traveling beyond the influence of our star. They float where the wind becomes still, surrounded by a silence so deep it has no echo. And yet, even there, the memory of the sun remains, faint but steady, like warmth remembered in a dream. Closer to home, the planets orbit not in perfect circles, but in gentle ellipses. Their paths are stretched and tilted, each one unique. The sun is not quite at the center of these orbits. Instead, it sits slightly off, as if the universe preferred asymmetry. Because of this, every world moves faster when it is nearer the sun and slower when it drifts away. The difference is subtle for the giant planets, but dramatic for Mercury and Pluto. This changing rhythm means that time, the length of seasons, the angle of sunlight, the warmth of years, shifts with each curve. The solar system breathes in slow cycles, each planet exhaling its own version of a year. If you could see the solar system from far above, the orbits would not look like flat rings. Each planet is slightly tilted, and the entire system wobbles together as it moves through the galaxy. The result is not a perfect clockwork, but a spiral of graceful motions, like ribbons in a breeze. Over millions of years, gravitational tugs from neighboring worlds subtly alter these paths, weaving an endless cosmic choreography that never repeats exactly. Gravity itself is not a force you can see, but it sculpts everything. It holds oceans to Earth, keeps moons in their courses, and shapes the roundness of planets. When you lie still, gravity feels like weight, like stillness, pressing gently against the bed. But in space, it is motion, a constant fall that never ends. The moon, circling us, is always falling toward Earth, but moving forward fast enough that it keeps missing. That eternal fall is what keeps it aloft. In the same way, Earth falls around the sun, and the sun itself circles the center of the Milky Way, bound by the same invisible thread that ties everything to everything else. The moon is an old companion, born from collision and fire. Billions of years ago, something enormous struck the young Earth, throwing molten rock into orbit. Over time, that debris gathered, cooled, and became the moon, a memory of chaos turned to calm. Its slow orbit has shaped Earth's tides ever since. When you stand by the ocean and watch the water rise and fall, you are watching the gravity of that silent gray sphere pull gently on entire seas. With every passing year, the moon drifts a few centimeters farther away, and our days grow slightly longer, But the connection endures, a quiet dance of balance and retreat. Farther out, between Mars and Jupiter, lies the asteroid belt, a region not crowded with rocks, but vast and mostly empty. The few large bodies there, Ceres, Vesta, Pallas, are relics of a time when planets were still forming, when gravity was choosing favorites and collisions decided futures. Some of these fragments are metallic, dense and heavy, perhaps the stripped cores of worlds that never finished being worlds. Others are dusty and dark, fragile collections of gravel barely held together by their own faint gravity. They drift in a region of eternal half-formation, a reminder that creation is often an unfinished act. Ceres, the largest among them, is round like a planet and bright with traces of salt. It may even hide pockets of briny water beneath its crust, frozen remnants of ancient oceans that never saw a sky. Vesta, smaller but layered, once melted enough to form a core and mantle like Earth, then cooled, arrested in mid-growth. If you could pick up a handful of dust from these bodies, you would be holding the ingredients of worlds, untouched since the dawn of the solar system. Beyond the belt, Jupiter dominates the sky. Its gravity shapes almost everything nearby, guiding asteroids, capturing comets, and shepherding the orbits of smaller worlds. It radiates more heat than it receives, still glowing faintly with the leftover warmth of its own birth. Beneath its clouds of ammonia and hydrogen, immense pressures crush and churn, creating metallic hydrogen that conducts electricity like liquid metal. This hidden ocean of charged matter gives Jupiter its enormous magnetic field, the largest structure in the entire solar system. If we could see it with our eyes, it would stretch millions of kilometers wider than the sun itself. Within that invisible field, deadly belts of radiation circle the planet. They are fierce enough to destroy an unshielded spacecraft in hours. Yet within this danger lies beauty, auroras so vast that they could swallow our Earth whole, shimmering in ultraviolet and infrared light, unseen except through telescopes. They flicker and flow at Jupiter's poles, a constant ballet of energy and magnetism. In their glow, Jupiter's many moons turn like a family around a bonfire, each one catching and reflecting a little of that strange light. One of those moons, Io, is restless beyond imagination. Its surface boils with volcanoes that hurl molten sulfur into the sky. The plumes rise hundreds of kilometers high, illuminated by the distant sun. Every eruption reshapes the moon's face, erasing craters and painting the land in yellow and black. Io's turmoil comes from Jupiter's pull. As it orbits, it is squeezed and stretched, heated by friction inside until rock melts like wax. It is a world that never sleeps, glowing faintly in infrared like a coal in the dark. Another moon, Ganymede, is larger than Mercury and hums with its own magnetic field. Beneath its icy shell may lie layers of water and salt, stacked in order like pages in a frozen book. Europa, smaller and smoother, hides an ocean beneath ice and may harbor warmth enough for life. Callisto, ancient and cratered, might also cradle a dark sea below. Together, they form a miniature system of oceans, all circling a planet of storms. In their quiet, they remind us that water, warmth, and time appear again and again, even in the coldest corners of space. Saturn waits farther out, pale gold and calm from a distance, but alive with motion. Its rings, so bright and fragile, are raining slowly into the planet. The particles spiral downward over millions of years, drawn by gravity and magnetism, leaving faint streaks of ice in Saturn's upper atmosphere. One day, perhaps far in the future, the rings will fade and Saturn will circle the sun bare again. But tonight, in our imagination, they remain. glittering loops of frozen time, whispering as they turn. Its largest moon, Titan, is another kind of world entirely. Wrapped in a thick orange haze, it hides lakes and rivers made not of water, but of methane and ethane, flowing slowly under a dim sun. When rain falls there, it is liquid natural gas, gathering into pools that mirror the dull light of the sky. Beneath its crust, scientists believe there may also be a hidden ocean of water, salted and deep. Titan is both alien and familiar, a world where chemistry mimics life's patterns, erosion, rain, reflection, but in substances far colder than ice. And then there is Enceladus, small and gleaming, no wider than the distance between two nearby cities. Yet from its south pole, geysers of water vapor and ice spray into space, forming shimmering plumes that rise like breath in the cold. Inside, a hidden sea stirs, warmed by Saturn's tides. In those plumes, spacecraft have tasted salts, organic molecules, and heat. The same ingredients that, on Earth, form the basis of life. In the darkness of Saturn's realm, this tiny moon glows with possibility. As you listen now, breathe slowly. Imagine drifting among these worlds, each one a quiet lantern moving through endless night. You're not falling, you are floating. The distances are vast, but the silence is gentle. Between every planet lies more nothing than something, yet even that nothing hums faintly with the memory of light. The solar wind continues to flow, soft and steady, carrying whispers of our star to the edge of interstellar space. Somewhere, beyond all orbits, Voyager is still sending its faint signal home. A pulse of data, a heartbeat of metal and memory. It will keep speaking until its power fades, and even then, it will continue to drift, holding our message, our hope, our curiosity. The solar system is not static. It moves, it ages, it breathes. The planets tug on one another, shifting orbits over eons. Moons drift, rings dissolve. Even the sun changes, its cycles of magnetism waxing and waning, its heartbeat flipping every 11 years. And through it all, our small world spins quietly, held in balance by forces older than time itself. So rest now. The orbits are steady, the stars are patient. Let your breath match the slow rhythm of the planets, in, out, as they glide endlessly around their star. The light that touches you tonight will travel on, brushing other worlds, falling softly on frozen seas and darkened craters. You are part of that light. You are part of that motion. You belong to the same quiet, drifting system that has turned since before there was life to notice it. Sleep well, traveler. The sun will keep shining. The planets will keep their paths. And the universe will wait, humming its soft, eternal song. If you close your eyes now, imagine yourself drifting near Saturn. Not from above, as we often see it in pictures, but from within its rings, among the countless shards of ice that circle the planet like a delicate halo. Each fragment spins in its own path, some the size of dust grains, some large as mountains, and all of them catching sunlight as they move. Together they shimmer like an ocean made of frozen glass. If you were there, you would not hear them collide. Their dance is silent, guided only by gravity and motion, following ancient rhythms carved into space itself. A small moon named Pan lives inside one of Saturn's rings. It clears a narrow gap around its orbit, creating ripples and waves that spread outward like water disturbed by a single pebble. The moon itself is shaped like a smooth walnut, a result of ring material gently falling onto its equator over ages. It is an artist in orbit, sculpting its surroundings without ever stopping to rest. Daphnis does something similar nearby. A tiny moon carving waves through the icy bands, leaving behind trails of shadow and light. These miniature worlds remind us that even in stillness, creation continues. Farther out, Uranus rolls along its orbit in a way no other planet does. Its axis lies nearly sideways, as if it had once been struck and left to spin in a long, lazy tumble. Because of that, its poles take turns facing the sun for decades at a time. One half of the planet glows in unbroken daylight, while the other lies in darkness. Then, slowly, they trade places. Its rings, faint and thin, circle vertically rather than horizontally. A tilted crown for a sleeping giant. In the pale light, the planet looks calm, wrapped in a turquoise haze, as if it had accepted its strange destiny and found peace in the slow turning of its seasons. Beyond Uranus waits Neptune, deep blue and alive with wind. Though sunlight there is only 1,000th as strong as on Earth. The planet's atmosphere churns with storms that move faster than sound. Great dark spots drift across its face, vanishing and reforming like thoughts. Wisps of methane clouds stretch and twist in the thin light, glowing faintly when touched by the sun. Scientists think Neptune's energy comes from within, from slow contraction and heat left over from its birth. It is a cold world, yes, but one that still hums softly with power, a whisper from the deep. Orbiting Neptune is Triton, a captured wanderer. Unlike most moons, it moves backward, against the spin of its planet, a slow rebellion in the quiet dark. Its surface is a patchwork of frozen nitrogen and methane ice, smooth in places, rough in others, and crossed by strange ridges that look like the folds of a seashell. From its south pole, faint plumes of gas and ice rise into the sky, drifting for hundreds of kilometers before falling back like snow. Triton's orbit slowly tightens with every passing century. One distant day, it may spiral inward and be torn apart, forming new rings around Neptune. Even destruction, in the long patience of the cosmos, can become beauty again. Farther beyond still, where sunlight fades to memory, lies the realm of frozen relics, the Kuiper Belt. Here, thousands of icy worlds drift in slow, elliptical paths, remnants from the early days of the solar system. They are small, quiet, and ancient, untouched for billions of years. Among them are Pluto, Ares, Makemake, and Haumea, names that sound like whispers of myth, fitting for such distant places. Pluto, once called the 9th planet, wears a bright heart of nitrogen ice. Beneath it, there may be a hidden ocean, warmed by the decay of ancient elements. Its thin atmosphere freezes and falls back to the surface as frost when it drifts away from the sun, only to rise again centuries later as it returns. The sky there is not black, but faintly blue, lit by sunlight scattering through haze. A twilight world at the edge of everything. Haumea spins so fast that it has become stretched into the shape of an egg. Its surface shines with crystalline ice, reflecting almost all the light that touches it. Eris is even farther and colder, a frozen mirror glinting faintly against the dark. These worlds are like the oldest dreams of the solar system, small, strange, persistent. And though they seem forgotten, they hold the secrets of what came before planets learned to shine. Imagine now leaving all of them behind, sailing farther still until the sun is only another star in the distance. You pass through the region where comets sleep, the vast, invisible Oort cloud. No spacecraft has ever been there, and perhaps none will for many lifetimes, but we can imagine it. A spherical sea of icy fragments, each one a worldlet frozen since the dawn of time. Every few million years, something disturbs one of these travelers, a passing star, a distant tide of gravity, and it begins a slow, spiraling fall inward. As it approaches the sun, its surface warms and begins to sublimate, trailing a bright plume of dust and vapor. The comet's tail always points away from the sun, pushed by the solar wind, glowing faintly in its light. Some plunge inward and vanish. Others loop around and return to the darkness, carrying the memory of sunlight with them. Some of those comets may have brought water to Earth long ago. When our planet was young and molten, impacts were constant. The air was thick, the ground boiling. But as comets and asteroids rained down, they carried with them ice, carbon, and the complex molecules that would one day form oceans and life. Each impact was violent, but each left behind a little more water, a little more potential. The same elements that now fill your body, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, were delivered by these travelers from the edge of space. You are, in a literal sense, made of stardust and comet dust, of light that cooled and learned to breathe. Earth is a special world, not just because it harbors life, but because it keeps balance. Its magnetic field deflects radiation. Its atmosphere holds warmth, yet lets sunlight through. Its surface moves slowly, but constantly, recycling rock, air, and ocean. Without that movement, the tectonic breathing of the planet, carbon dioxide would build up and heat would rise unchecked. Our world's restlessness is its secret calm. It is always changing, always healing, always balancing itself anew. Look again to the moon, its silver face unchanged for eons. Without wind or rain, the footprints left by humans there will last for thousands of generations. Tiny meteorites will fall, dust will settle, but the marks will remain, quiet witnesses to a brief visit in the long stillness of lunar time. Sometimes, when the Earth is full in its sky, the moon glows faintly with reflected blue. Earthshine, our own light returning to us from afar. It is a simple thing, but there is comfort in it. Even in darkness, there is always a reflection of home. Now, drift beyond the moon, past the pale blue circle of Earth, until you see the entire solar system as a family of glowing dots. Mercury hugs the sun tightly, swift and small. Venus shines like a flame hidden behind clouds. Earth glows with oceans and storms. Mars is red and quiet. Then come the gas giants, Jupiter's amber stripes, Saturn's golden rings, and beyond them the ice giants, pale turquoise and deep blue. Finally, the dwarf worlds shimmer faintly at the edge, their slow paths like thoughts that take centuries to complete. All of it, everything you have ever known, moves together around the same star, bound by light and time. The sun itself is a paradox. Its surface burns at 5,000 degrees, yet the outer atmosphere, the corona, reaches over 1 million. The reason lies in invisible magnetic waves that carry energy upward, heating the airless heights above. Sometimes those magnetic fields twist too tightly and snap, releasing explosions of plasma called solar flares. When these eruptions hurl material into space, and when that material meets Earth's magnetic field, the sky glows with auroras. The same cosmic storms that can disrupt satellites also paint the heavens in beauty. It is a reminder that even violence can have grace. As you float farther out, the sunlight softens, then fades. The heliosphere, that great magnetic bubble blown by the sun, surrounds you still, protecting the inner worlds from much of the galaxy's radiation. But beyond it, space is different, colder, quieter, filled with slower particles and ancient dust. The Milky Way arches across the sky like a river of frozen fire. You can almost feel the scale of it now. The solar system is not vast compared to the galaxy. It is small, a single spark in an ocean of stars. And yet, within that spark lies warmth, balance, and the story of everything we know. When you breathe in, you are inhaling atoms that once belonged to stars, to oceans, to ancient comets. When you breathe out, you are returning them to the universe. Life is the cosmos learning to listen to itself. It is the quiet echo of creation, still rippling through time. So tonight, as you rest, let yourself drift through that thought. You are not separate from the planets or the stars. You are part of their pattern, part of their rhythm. The same gravity that binds them holds you gently against your bed. The same sunlight that warms their atmospheres shines across your skin. You are woven into the fabric of space, and space, in its patient way, holds you back. Sleep softly, traveler. The solar wind still flows. The planets still turn. And somewhere, in the quiet dark beyond the light, the story continues. The light that travels through space never stops. Even when no one is there to see it, it continues forward. Through clouds, through dust, through billions of kilometers of emptiness. Some of it will strike a planet and scatter into color. Some will warm the surface of a moon, or glint briefly off an icy ring, or reflect from a passing spacecraft. And some will travel on forever, fading slowly as the universe expands. It is the quiet motion of everything that ever was. Sunlight, starlight, ancient light, each photon carrying a little memory of its origin. If you could see those streams of light from afar, you would notice that the solar system glows faintly, like a dusted lantern. Every planet reflects a bit of sunlight back into space, and tiny grains of dust between them scatter it in every direction. The result is a faint glow called the zodiacal light, a soft, triangular shimmer that rises from the horizon after sunset or before dawn. Many people have seen it without knowing what it is, mistaking it for the last trace of twilight. But it is more ancient than night itself. It is the whisper of sunlight bouncing among the small debris of creation. Closer to the sun, the space between planets is filled with another kind of glow. The faint breath of the solar wind colliding with the interplanetary magnetic field. It is invisible to the eye, yet it touches everything, shaping the tails of comets, bending charged particles, and guiding the flow of energy through the solar system. This constant motion links all worlds together, binding them in a web of light and magnetism that stretches far beyond the reach of sight. If you drifted outward again, beyond Neptune, you would eventually reach the point where the solar wind slows, where its strength begins to fade against the weight of the galaxy. This is the heliopause, the edge of our sun's influence. The Voyager spacecraft have already crossed that boundary, traveling silently through the dark. Their antennas still point home, sending faint signals that take over 20 hours to reach Earth. Each one is a whisper, a small packet of light carrying the echo of human curiosity. Inside those spacecraft is something special. A golden record etched with music and sounds from Earth. The heartbeat of a human, the sound of waves breaking on a shore, the laughter of a child, the chirping of insects at dusk. It was made so that if, by some miracle, another civilization ever finds it, they will know that we once lived here, that we once looked outward and wondered. Even if no one ever hears it, the record still drifts through the dark, circling the galaxy every few 100 million years. In that sense, part of us has already become eternal. Back near home, the planets continue their unhurried paths. Mercury dances closest to the sun, its days blistering and its nights colder than ice. In its deep polar craters, untouched by sunlight for billions of years, lies frozen water. Ice that has survived in the shadows of the hottest world. Venus, the next planet outward, turns so slowly that one day there lasts longer than a year. Its thick atmosphere traps heat with a suffocating grip, keeping the surface hot enough to melt metal. From orbit, the clouds glow faintly, swirling in soft bands of sulfur and light, moving faster than the planet itself, like wind chasing its own reflection. Earth follows, blue, green, white, and alive. It is the only world where light and shadow are constantly mixed by water and air. Clouds bloom and fade, storms curl into spirals, snow glitters on mountains, and oceans shimmer with scattered sunlight. When viewed from afar, Earth pulses, a living pattern of reflection and absorption, warmth and color. Astronauts who have seen it describe a feeling that words cannot quite capture. They call it the overview effect, the sudden realization that everything you have ever known fits into a single glowing sphere suspended in darkness. It is humbling, and it is beautiful. Beyond Earth, Mars turns quietly. The sunlight there is dimmer, its warmth spread thin across red dust. Sometimes, as the planet tilts, sunlight strikes its polar ice caps and makes them sparkle. Other times, shadows grow long over canyons and volcanoes, painting the surface in shades of rust and gold. Mars is smaller than Earth, colder, drier, but the light still finds it, sliding across ridges, scattering through thin air, catching the edges of old riverbeds that once held running water. To stand there would be to stand within memory itself, among rocks that remember oceans and skies that remember storms. Jupiter, farther away, reflects sunlight in bold patterns. Its clouds are vast tapestries of color, browns, creams, reds, and white. The Great Red Spot, a storm larger than Earth, has been spinning for centuries, driven by deep heat and endless motion. To watch Jupiter from afar is to see chaos made graceful. Lightning flashes within its clouds, brighter than anything on Earth. Above its poles, auroras glow continuously, sculpted by magnetic fields invisible but immense. Each pulse of light, each swirl of gas is part of a system so large it defies comprehension, yet so orderly it seems choreographed by mathematics itself. Saturn, with its rings of ice, reflects sunlight with elegance. From certain angles, the rings seem to vanish, their thinness erasing them from sight. From others, they blaze so bright they almost outshine the planet. Shadows move slowly across them as Saturn orbits the Sun, drawing lines of darkness that migrate from one ring to another. Sometimes, tiny moons cast their own shadows, small black dots gliding across the golden clouds. To look at Saturn is to glimpse geometry in motion, the perfect balance of structure and fragility. And then there is Titan, Saturn's mysterious moon, wrapped in haze. Its thick orange atmosphere filters sunlight into a gentle amber glow. Even in daylight, Titan's skies are dim, as though perpetually sunset. Lakes of methane mirror that golden hue, stretching across the polar regions like sheets of glass. If you were standing there, you would see no stars, only a faint circle of light where the sun should be, shining weakly through the haze. Yet beneath the surface, there may be another ocean, one made of water, hidden beneath layers of ice. Titan is a mirror of Earth in a colder language, clouds, rain, rivers, lakes, but built from alien chemistry. It whispers to us that nature loves to repeat itself, even in strange forms. Farther outward still, Uranus and Neptune shimmer softly in pastel blue. Their upper clouds hide storms and winds that never rest. In Neptune's deep atmosphere, crystals of methane form and dissolve, glowing briefly as they fall. These planets receive almost no warmth from the sun, yet they radiate heat from within, reminders that even the most distant worlds hold fire in their hearts. Between them and the stars beyond lies a thin frontier, where the solar system ends and the galaxy begins. A border not of walls, but of fading influence. Somewhere in that distant border floats a small, silent probe, still turning its antenna toward Earth. Its signal is faint, stretched thin by distance, but it carries the story of our species. A story written in magnetic fields and binary code, carried on radio waves that drift like ghosts through space. When that signal reaches Earth, it has already been traveling for more than 20 hours. The data it carries is a snapshot of a world long past, a reminder that even light has memory, and that distance turns every observation into a kind of time travel. From the surface of our own world, the sun seems eternal, but it too changes. Every 11 years, its magnetic poles flip. North becomes south, and the cycle of solar storms begins anew. During the active years, sunspots multiply, flares erupt, and the solar wind strengthens, filling space with charged particles. During quiet years, the sun's surface smooths, and the wind softens to a calm breath. These rhythms shape not just the planets, but our own skies. The flicker of auroras, the hum of radio signals, even subtle variations in climate. The sun's heartbeat echoes through every corner of its system, steady and infinite. If you think about it long enough, you begin to realize something gentle but profound. Everything in the solar system, the planets, the comets, the dust, the wind, is made of the same thing. Hydrogen and helium, carbon and oxygen, the same elements that burn in stars and flow in your veins. We are not guests in this system. We are part of it. We are built from it. The same atoms that once floated near Saturn's rings or shone as part of the sun now live in you, breathing, dreaming, thinking. In a sense, when you look up at the night sky, you are looking at yourself, scattered and rearranged across time and distance. So rest now. The light will keep traveling. The planets will keep turning. The sun will keep breathing out its wind. You can close your eyes and drift among them, safe within the rhythm that has held for billions of years. You are made of the same stars that guide the orbits, of the same dust that glows in the faint zodiacal light. And like that light, you will go on, softly, endlessly, without hurry. Sleep peacefully. The cosmos is vast, but tonight it is quiet. The story continues in the silence beyond the sun. When you look at the night sky, it seems still. The stars hold their positions. The planets creep almost imperceptibly from night to night, and the great curve of the Milky Way hangs motionless above. Yet everything is in motion. Every point of light is drifting, every orbit is changing, every grain of dust is falling towards something else. Motion is the quiet truth of the universe, gentle, constant, and eternal. The planets themselves spin in a slow and varied rhythm. Mercury turns rapidly, its days short and bright, while Venus lingers, taking months to complete a single rotation. Earth's 24-hour spin gives us the rise and fall of the sun, the soft repetition of day and night that has guided every heartbeat and every breath since life began. Mars spins almost as Earth does, but more slowly, its sunsets stretching long and red over cold horizons. The gas giants spin fastest of all. Jupiter, so vast that 1,000 Earths could fit within it, completes a day in just 10 hours. Saturn follows, its golden clouds racing around its equator. To watch these worlds is to see time itself unfold at different tempos, a cosmic orchestra with each planet keeping its own rhythm. The tilt of a planet's axis shapes its seasons. Earth leans at about 23.5 degrees, a gentle angle that gives us winter and summer, spring and fall. When one hemisphere tilts toward the sun, it basks in light, while the other rests in shadow. The same pattern plays across Mars, though its seasons are twice as long, its year nearly twice as slow. Even the icy worlds far from the sun have their seasonal dances. Neptune's winds shift, Uranus's poles glow for decades at a time. The farther from the sun, the slower the cycle, but the principle remains the same. The universe moves in patterns of light and rest. If you could hover above the solar system and speed up time, you would see the planets tracing graceful ellipses like dancers around a glowing center. Mercury darts quickly, looping 4 times for every one of Earth's orbits. Venus follows more slowly, and then Earth, steady and calm. Mars lags farther behind, while Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune move in long, sweeping arcs. Their paths never cross, yet their gravity tugs gently on one another, pulling, slowing, adjusting. Over millions of years, these small interactions add up, altering orbits, shifting angles, keeping the dance imperfect and alive. The solar system is not a machine, but a conversation, one spoken in gravity and silence. Among these orbits are countless smaller travelers. Asteroids and comets glide between planets, tracing long, elliptical paths that stretch far beyond Neptune before turning back toward the sun. Some are ancient remnants of formation, fragments that never found a home in larger worlds. Others are visitors from outside the system altogether, like the mysterious object Oumuamua that once passed through our neighborhood. A sliver of another star's debris, moving too fast to stay. It came and went without slowing, a messenger from elsewhere reminding us that our solar system is part of a much larger sea. Closer in, the comets that belong to our sun have shorter journeys. They are born in the deep freeze of the Kuiper Belt or the Oort cloud, where they sleep for eons until gravity or a passing star nudges them inward. As they approach the warmth of the sun, they wake. Their ice begins to sublimate, releasing gas and dust that form the glowing tails we see from Earth. Those tails always point away from the sun, pushed by the solar wind, so that a comet's appearance changes with every moment, a painting in motion. To watch one through a telescope is to see something both alive and ancient, something that connects the past of our system to its still unfolding present. Every grain of dust from those comets eventually falls inward, joining the interplanetary haze that reflects sunlight as zodiacal light. You might have seen it, a faint, ghostly triangle stretching upward from the horizon before dawn, too dim for city skies, but visible in the desert or on the open sea. That glow is the echo of collisions, fragments of comets and asteroids slowly fading into starlight. The solar system, even in its emptiness, shimmers with memory. Each planet's magnetic field hums with its own frequency. Earth's field protects us, deflecting cosmic rays and solar wind, funneling particles toward the poles where they glow as auroras. Jupiter's field is enormous, so strong that it extends millions of kilometers into space, dwarfing the planet itself. Within it, charged particles from Io's volcanoes race along magnetic lines, forming a ring of radiation and light. Saturn's field is quieter but elegant, shaping the subtle flickers of its auroras. Even tiny Mercury holds a weak magnetic bubble, a remnant of its molten core. Magnetism ties all these worlds together, invisible but ever present, like the low hum beneath a song. Deep within each planet, heat flows upward, the last breath of their creation. In some, it fuels volcanoes. In others, it drives storms or subtle currents of rock and metal. Earth's molten heart turns iron into motion, and that motion becomes our magnetic field. On Mars, the dynamo has long since cooled, leaving its surface unshielded, scarred by ancient winds. On Venus, the heat is trapped beneath a heavy atmosphere, creating endless cloud and lightning. On Jupiter and Saturn, the pressure itself creates energy, squeezing hydrogen into a metallic form that glows faintly from within. Even the coldest planets hold a little warmth, a pulse of their birth that has not yet faded. Farther out, the moons reveal another kind of motion. Europa's cracked ice shifts slowly over a hidden ocean, flexing under Jupiter's pull. Enceladus sprays water into space, feeding Saturn's faint E-ring. Titan's methane rains fill lakes that reflect the muted light of a distant sun. Io continues to erupt, painting its surface anew every decade. Each of these moons is alive in its own way, not with life as we know it, but with energy and movement. They are reminders that even small worlds can be dynamic, even frozen ones can change. And then there is our moon, patient, silent, and loyal. It moves away from Earth by a few centimeters each year, stretching the bond between us. Long ago it was closer, its pull stronger, and Earth's days were shorter. Over billions of years the dance has slowed, trading spin for distance, energy for peace. The tides it raises are not just water rising and falling. They are time itself made visible, a rhythm shared by every creature that has ever watched the sea. The moon is our oldest companion, and its light is borrowed sunlight, a calm reflection that turns night into silver. Beyond all this motion lies an even grander journey. The sun, with all its planets and comets, is orbiting the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It takes roughly 225 million years to complete one orbit, a cosmic year. During that time, continents drift, species rise and vanish, mountains form and erode. Every time our solar system circles the galaxy once, Earth is remade. We are currently on our 20th or 21st trip around that galactic center, moving at more than 700,000 kilometers per hour, yet feeling no wind, no rush. We are gliding through a galactic tide of stars, carried by gravity's endless current. The galaxy itself is not static. It spins and breathes, its spiral arms stretching and shifting. Around us are neighboring stars, some with their own planets, their own comets, their own stories. Many are young and hot, others are ancient and fading. Between them flows interstellar dust, the ashes of dead stars that will someday form new suns and worlds. The material that once belonged to long-vanished stars may already be part of us. The hydrogen in your breath, the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, all forged in stars that burned long before Earth existed. When you breathe in, you are breathing history. When you exhale, you return part of yourself to the same universe that made you. You are not separate from it. You are its continuation, its way of seeing, thinking, and remembering. Now, close your eyes and picture the solar system not as separate planets, but as one great living structure, each part influencing the others. The sun's warmth flows outward, touching every moon and rock. Gravity connects them all in a single web. Magnetic fields, solar winds, and faint dust connect what light alone cannot. It is a system of balance, not perfect, not permanent, but stable enough for billions of years. Within that stability, life arose, and with life came awareness, a small voice able to whisper, "I am part of this." So breathe slowly. matching the rhythm of the planet's spin. Inhale, like Earth, turning toward sunrise. Exhale, like Neptune, drifting deeper into night. The cosmos has always moved at a pace too slow for hurry and too steady for fear. You are safe within it. You are carried by it. Let the stars hold you. Let gravity cradle you. Let your mind drift between the worlds as softly as dust illuminated by starlight. The story continues, always, in silence. Deep inside every planet, even those that seem cold and motionless, there is heat. It is a quiet fire, left over from the time of formation, the lingering echo of collisions and compression that once shaped worlds from dust and light. Some planets keep that warmth deep within, hidden and slow. Others let it rise, spilling into storms and volcanoes that stretch toward the sky. Heat is the memory of creation, and it still moves, even in the dark. On Earth, that heat rises through cracks in the crust, creating volcanoes and geysers, mountains and islands. Every grain of sand, every stone underfoot, has been melted, cooled, and reshaped countless times. The continents themselves drift on the surface like rafts over a glowing sea of rock. They collide and part, forming new ocean floors and towering ridges. The air we breathe and the soil we walk upon are gifts from that deep, slow churning. A world always rebuilding itself, even while we sleep. Beneath the surface of Mars lies the memory of similar fire. Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the solar system, rises like a frozen wave in red dust. It is nearly 3 times higher than Mount Everest, and its slopes stretch so gently that a person walking across them would not feel the incline. It formed over countless eruptions, each pouring lava from the same spot because Mars has no plate tectonics to move the crust away. The planet's heart has cooled now, the fire dimmed, but the scars of its strength remain. Vast plains of hardened basalt, cracks that stretch across hemispheres, and the soft sigh of dust drifting over silent craters. Venus, by contrast, burns still. Its surface is a landscape of volcanic plains and molten scars. Entire regions appear to have been resurfaced by lava only a few 100 million years ago. Recent in the scale of planets. Its heat is trapped beneath thick clouds of carbon dioxide, and lightning flickers through the atmosphere like veins of light. The air there is so heavy it would crush a person, and the sky so bright it would feel like standing inside an oven. Yet above the clouds, where the pressure drops and the air grows thin, the view is serene. Soft sunlight diffused through gold haze, a sky forever between day and dream. Farther from the sun, fire takes stranger forms. On Jupiter's moon, Io, molten sulfur erupts from the ground, painting the surface in yellows, reds, and black. The volcanoes there are immense, some spewing fountains of lava hundreds of kilometers high. The power comes not from within Io alone, but from the giant planet that holds it. Jupiter's gravity stretches and squeezes the moon like a heartbeat, creating friction that melts rock into liquid fire. If you could hover nearby, you would see plumes of glowing gas and molten lakes beneath a black sky filled with Jupiter's massive presence. It is both beautiful and terrifying, a world forever remade by the pull of another. Enceladus, a moon of Saturn, carries a different kind of flame. Its heat is hidden under ice. Cracks at the South Pole spray water vapor and ice crystals into space, forming plumes that reach hundreds of kilometers high. Beneath that frozen crust lies a global ocean, kept warm by the same tidal forces that light Io's volcanoes. The geysers that erupt into space contain salts and organic molecules, ingredients for life. In the coldest place imaginable, warmth and chemistry intertwine in perfect quiet. The plumes fall back as snow, and with each cycle, the moon remakes its own surface. From a distance, Enceladus looks like a bead of glass, but within it may lie the gentle stirrings of possibility. Europa shares that secret. Beneath its cracked, bright shell of ice lies another ocean, a deep, dark sea warmed by Jupiter's tides. The surface is crossed by lines where ice has broken and shifted, refrozen and fractured again. In places, the ice may be thin enough that light filters through in a dim turquoise glow. If you could descend into its waters, you would find a world of perpetual night, lit only by faint chemical fire at the seafloor. Hydrothermal vents could pour minerals and warmth into the water, creating the same conditions that gave birth to life on Earth. The thought of it brings comfort. That even in darkness, the universe keeps the recipe for creation close at hand. On Neptune's moon, Triton, the fire is colder still. There, geysers of nitrogen erupt not from heat, but from sunlight faintly warming frozen ground. The gas bursts upward, leaving dark streaks across the surface like brush strokes on pale ice. Triton orbits Neptune backward, a captured traveler from the outer reaches, and slowly spirals closer each millennium. One day it may be torn apart, its fragments forming a new ring around its planet. But for now, it endures, quietly exhaling through the cold, its surface shifting like a sleeping breath. Beyond Neptune, in the Kuiper Belt, the remnants of the solar system's birth drift in silence. Pluto, Eris, Makemake, Haumea. These dwarf worlds still hold the frozen fire of early creation. Pluto's heart-shaped plain gleams with nitrogen frost, and beneath it may lie a hidden ocean. Eris shines like polished steel, so reflective it outshines Pluto at times. Haumea spins so rapidly that it is stretched into an elongated shape, and two small moons circle it like sparks. They are faint, far, and cold, but in their stillness, they remind us that the universe is patient. The fire of birth may cool, but it never disappears. Even the sun, that blazing center, holds a kind of silence. Its light feels eternal, but it too changes. Inside, fusion forges helium from hydrogen, and with every second, millions of tons of matter are turned into energy. Yet despite that loss, the sun barely changes, its strength balanced perfectly between gravity pulling inward and radiation pushing outward. For now, it is steady. But billions of years from now, it will swell into a red giant, shedding its outer layers in waves of glowing gas. The planets may burn, the outer moons will melt, and what remains will be a white dwarf, a quiet ember glowing in the dark, the last soft pulse of a once living star. Until that day, the sun sings. It vibrates like a musical instrument, its surface rippling with sound waves that roll through its layers. These vibrations are too low for human ears, but instruments can translate them. Long, slow tones that reveal what happens deep within. Scientists call this study helioseismology, the listening of the sun. Through its music, we can hear the movement of plasma, the flow of energy, the whisper of the core. It hums softly, endlessly, a song that has played for more than 4 billion years. All the while, the solar wind carries a piece of that song outward. The charged particles stream through space, brushing past planets, stirring magnetic fields, painting auroras at the poles of worlds that have air to catch them. Even at Pluto, more than 5 billion kilometers away, the wind can still be felt, faint, but there. The boundary where it meets the interstellar medium is the sun's breath becoming silence, its energy surrendering to the greater calm between stars. And there, in that calm, the Voyager spacecraft continue their slow journey. Voyager 1 left Earth in 1977 and now drifts beyond the edge of the solar system. It carries a golden record, a message for whoever or whatever might someday find it. On that record are sounds of wind and waves, thunder and rain, music from many cultures, greetings in many languages. It carries laughter, heartbeats, and a mother's first words to her child. Voyager 2 follows behind, moving along its own path, sending home whispers of data. Both are powered by small nuclear hearts that will one day fade. When they finally fall silent, they will continue forever, traveling among the stars, each a bottle thrown into the cosmic sea. The thought is comforting. Even when we are gone, something of us continues, not just spacecraft or records, but light, warmth, memory. The particles of your body will one day return to the stars, scattered into the same dust that builds new worlds. You are not separate from the solar system. You are made of its fire, cooled into thought, awakened into wonder. So rest now. The heat within the planet still glows, the stars still hum. The universe is not rushing anywhere. It is patient, quiet, alive. Let yourself be part of that calm. Imagine the slow turning of worlds, the drift of light, the deep breathing of space. Every heartbeat you feel is an echo of the same rhythm that moves galaxies. Every breath is a tide of the same energy that once formed suns. You belong to that rhythm. You always have. Sleep gently, traveler. The fire beneath the silence will keep you warm. The story continues, far, deep, and endless. Every planet carries time in its orbit. Their movements are clocks too vast for human lifetimes, hands made of rock and air, sweeping slowly through space. The faster planets near the sun mark short hours. Mercury's year passes in just 88 Earth days. Farther out, Neptune's years stretch for centuries. Time flows differently depending on where you stand, but the rhythm is universal. A great celestial pendulum swinging silently through the dark. Here on Earth, time is measured by light. The sun rises, the shadows shorten, the day warms, and then the light fades again. Each rotation is a breath, each year a heartbeat. The moon's phases are the smaller pulses that lace through that rhythm, the waxing and waning of light reflected across space. We live inside these cycles, shaped by them even when we forget. The tides follow the moon's pull, the seasons follow Earth's tilt, and even our sleep is tuned to the slow turning of the world. When you think of tides, you might picture water. Waves sliding up and down a shore, the hush of foam over sand. But tides are everywhere. The moon lifts not only the oceans, but also the rock beneath them, tugging the crust itself by centimeters every day. Even the air feels that pull, rising and falling like breath. The same happens between planets and moons elsewhere. On Io, the tug of Jupiter stirs magma. On Enceladus, it stirs water. Gravity connects everything, weaving invisible threads that tighten and loosen with each orbit. The universe breathes, and those breaths are tides. If you could stand on the surface of Mars at twilight, you would see something familiar yet strange. The sun would appear smaller, a golden coin behind thin pink dust. And as it set, the sky would fade not to black, but to blue. Dust in Mars's atmosphere scatters sunlight differently from dust on Earth, turning sunsets the opposite color. In that fading light, two moons would rise. Phobos and Deimos, lumpy and gray, speeding through the sky. Phobos would race overhead and set within hours, while Deimos would crawl slowly, taking days. The light of both would cast double shadows on the sand, and the silence would feel infinite. Venus, by contrast, has no moons at all. Its nights are ruled only by clouds, thick and glowing. If you could float above those clouds, you would see the sun set and rise every few days. Even though the planet itself spins so slowly, winds circle the planet 60 times faster than its rotation, carrying the upper atmosphere in a continuous whirl. The result is a world where time itself seems confused, days longer than years, mornings tangled with evenings. Yet from afar, the planet shines steady, the brightest object in our sky besides the moon. Light hides turmoil, peace hides fire. Venus is a reminder that calm appearances can cradle chaos below. Mercury tells a quieter story. It has almost no air, no weather, no wind. The sun dominates its sky, rising slowly and setting days later. At its poles, sunlight never reaches the bottoms of certain craters, leaving pockets of eternal darkness where ice still hides. In those shadows, time stands still. The same ice that formed billions of years ago remains untouched, even as the sun blazes endlessly above nearby ridges. Mercury is a place of contrast, one side baking hot, the other frozen solid, both existing together in fragile balance. Jupiter the giant holds its own kind of time. The great red spot has been swirling for at least 3.5 centuries. Imagine a storm that outlives empires, languages, and civilizations. A cyclone so large that it could swallow Earth, yet so stable that it endures for generations. The winds there reach hundreds of kilometers per hour, moving endlessly in circles. Within those circles, smaller storms rise and fade, each one a ripple on a sea of gas. The red spot is shrinking now, slowly, as though preparing for its rest. Even storms, it seems, grow tired eventually. Saturn's rings tell time in dust. Each particle traces a path determined by gravity and history. The rings themselves may be young, perhaps only 100 million years old, a blink in cosmic terms. They are made mostly of ice, fragments of moons that shattered long ago. The particles constantly collide, eroding into smaller pieces that gradually drift downward, raining into Saturn's atmosphere. Someday, perhaps millions of years from now, the rings will fade entirely. Future observers will look at Saturn and see only smooth gold bands of cloud, never knowing what once circled there. Beauty, too, can be temporary, no less lovely for its impermanence. Farther outward, the outer planets move so slowly that time becomes abstraction. Uranus takes 84 Earth years to complete one orbit. Neptune takes 165. Their seasons last decades. When Uranus's north pole faces the sun, half the planet glows in endless daylight, while the other half rests in night for 40 years. Imagine a single sunset stretching across a lifetime. A sky that changes color once every generation. These worlds remind us that time is relative, not only in physics, but in experience. What feels fleeting to one world can be eternity to another. Even light, that fastest traveler, experiences time differently. From the sun to Earth, it takes just over 8 minutes. To reach Neptune, it takes more than 4 hours. The light from distant stars takes years, centuries, millennia. And from galaxies at the edge of what we can see, it has been traveling for more than 13 billion years. When you look at the night sky, you are seeing the past. Light that began its journey long before our species existed. Perhaps even before our planet formed. Every star is a memory. Every glow is a message from a different moment in time. Closer to home, the sun itself breathes in cycles of time. Every 11 years, its magnetic poles flip. Sunspots multiply. Solar flares burst forth, and the solar wind strengthens. Then gradually, it calms, the surface smoothing again. These cycles affect everything. The brightness of auroras, the reach of radiation, the faint variations in Earth's upper atmosphere. We live in the sun's rhythm even when we do not feel it. Its heartbeat is slow but constant, a pulse that hums beneath every dawn. Earth listens to that rhythm in subtle ways. Our magnetosphere expands and contracts with the solar wind, absorbing its changes like a tide. The atmosphere responds, rippling with currents that move thousands of kilometers above our heads. Even the auroras, those green and violet curtains of light, breathe in and out with the sun's storms. They are the visible signature of a distant heartbeat, the universe's way of reminding us that all life dances to the same tune of energy and rest. If you could hover above Earth and watch for months without blinking, you would see patterns form, clouds gathering and dispersing, storms blooming like flowers, lightning flickering across continents. You would see seasons sweep over the globe. Snow retreating, deserts shifting, forests breathing out green. Each of these motions is part of the larger pulse of the solar system. The winds on Earth whisper the same rhythm as the winds on Neptune. The waves that lap at the shore echo the motion of Saturn's rings. Scale changes, but harmony remains. Beyond even the planets, comets continue their slow orbits. Some take hundreds of years to return, others tens of thousands. They are the long notes in the solar symphony, spending most of their time frozen and silent before flaring bright as they approach the sun. When they do, their tails stretch millions of kilometers, reflecting sunlight in delicate arcs. To see one from Earth is to watch time made visible. A body that last passed this way when the world was different, returning again in its faithful path. The solar system itself turns through the galaxy, completing one orbit every 225 million years. Each time it does, the stars around us have changed. Constellations dissolve and reform. The sun drifts through clouds of interstellar gas, through arms of the Milky Way, through the memory of supernovas long past. It carries its planets like lanterns, glowing faintly as it sails through the vastness. We have made this journey many times already, though we have only recently learned to count it. When you close your eyes tonight, you can imagine that slow motion. The sun and planets gliding together through the galaxy's arm, like a family walking hand in hand through a fog of stars. No rush, no noise, only the steady rhythm of orbits within orbits, circles within circles. Everything moves, and yet everything is calm. So breathe slowly. The same laws that keep the planets in their paths keep your heart beating, your lungs rising and falling. The same balance that holds Jupiter's moons in their dance holds you here, safe, floating in time's long current. There is no need to hurry. The universe is already carrying you forward. Rest now. The light still travels, the tides still turn, and the story, our story, the story of the solar system, continues quietly, beautifully, in the endless night. Everything in space makes a kind of sound, not the sound that travels through air. There's almost no air in space, but a vibration, a rhythm, a frequency. Planets hum with magnetic fields, stars pulse and ring with internal pressure. Entire galaxies vibrate with waves of gravity that stretch and squeeze the fabric of space itself. The universe is not silent. It sings softly across distances too great for ears to hear, in a language made of energy and time. If you could translate those vibrations into something audible, you would hear deep, slow notes, a cosmic bass line that underlies everything. The sun, for instance, oscillates in millions of different ways, its surface rippling like the skin of a drum. Those ripples reveal its hidden structure, allowing scientists to map layers they cannot see. The result is a kind of stellar heartbeat, the pulse of fusion, The breath of plasma, the song of creation continuing quietly every second. The planets, too, have their own music. Jupiter's auroras crackle in radio waves. Saturn's rings whisper with the faint hiss of charged particles colliding. Even Earth sings, its magnetic field resonating when struck by solar wind, creating tones that rise and fall with geomagnetic storms. These are not metaphors. They are real, measurable sounds, the voice of physics made audible. To listen to them is to realize that the entire solar system is alive with quiet communication. Imagine floating above Earth and hearing that symphony, not with ears, but with your body. You would feel the vibration of magnetic fields brushing against your skin, the faint hum of the ionosphere echoing through the planet's electric shell. You would sense the pulse of lightning flashes thousands of kilometers away, each one a spark in the global heartbeat. Every thunderstorm, every aurora, every shimmer of light in the upper atmosphere adds its own note to the chorus. Beneath that hum lies the music of gravity itself. Einstein once described gravity not as a force, but as a curve in the fabric of space-time. When something massive moves, a planet, a star, a black hole, it sends ripples through that fabric. These ripples are gravitational waves, and though they are incredibly faint, they stretch and squeeze space itself as they pass. For billions of years, the universe has been filled with these vibrations, the echoes of distant collisions, ancient supernovas, and galaxies merging in the dark. Here near our quiet sun, those waves are almost imperceptible. They wash through the solar system like soft tides, lengthening and shortening distances by less than the width of an atom. Yet with delicate instruments, we can feel them. The faint tremor of the universe's heartbeat arriving from billions of light years away. It is the closest thing we have to hearing the voice of creation itself. Closer to home, the solar wind adds its own melody. It flows outward in streams, twisting around magnetic fields and brushing against the planets in soft, steady rhythms. At times, it flares, bursts of energy from the sun that carry storms of charged particles into space. When they reach Earth, they dance with the atmosphere and turn the sky into color. The auroras we see are not just light. They are motion, sound, and touch woven together. Each curtain of green and red light is a wave of music made visible. Farther out, even the silence hums. Between the planets lies the faint vibration of plasma, particles moving slowly through the vast dark. The Voyager spacecraft, now beyond the heliosphere, can hear this background. Their instruments pick up the tone of interstellar plasma, a low, ghostly whistle that rises and falls as they drift through different regions. It is the first direct sound ever recorded beyond the edge of the sun's influence, the universe itself breathing in the distance. If you could listen beyond even that, you might hear the microwave hiss of the Big Bang, the afterglow of the universe's birth. It fills all of space equally, a background of ancient energy stretched into cold light over billions of years. When we tune our instruments to detect it, we are hearing time itself, the faint echo of the first second after everything began. It is constant, patient, and universal, a reminder that all things, even silence, carry memory. This hidden music shapes everything. Waves of sound and gravity sculpt galaxies, compressing clouds of gas into stars. Inside those stars, pressure turns hydrogen into helium, creating light and heat and the elements that build planets. When those stars die, they release shock waves that travel through space, seeding new worlds with the dust of life. The cycle continues endlessly. Sound becomes matter, matter becomes light, light becomes silence, and silence becomes sound again. On Earth, we are surrounded by echoes of that pattern. The ocean waves follow lunar tides, the wind follows solar heat, and the beating of your heart mirrors both. Even when you lie perfectly still, atoms within you vibrate with thermal motion, dancing to the same universal rhythm that drives the stars. You are not apart from the cosmic music. You are one of its notes, brief but essential. If you could see the solar system as vibration instead of matter, it would look like a field of ripples radiating outward from the sun. Each planet would add its own resonance. Mercury, a quick, sharp rhythm. Venus, a slow, deep hum. Earth, a layered chord of air, ocean, and magnetism. Mars would add a dry percussion of dust storms. Jupiter would thunder with harmonics of plasma and light. Saturn's rings would shimmer like a harp. Uranus and Neptune would contribute the low drone of frozen winds. And beyond them, the comets and dwarf planets would whisper in distant, icy tones. Together, it would be a harmony spanning billions of kilometers. A song so slow and vast that one measure might take 1,000,000 years. Yet every moment, it plays around us, quietly, patiently, eternal. Some scientists call this the music of the spheres, reviving an ancient idea. Long before telescopes, philosophers believed that planets moving through space must create harmony, like celestial instruments. Today, we know that motion itself can create waves, sound in air, vibration in rock, light in vacuum. The old myth was not wrong. It was simply metaphor waiting for proof. You can hear that music now if you listen differently. Not with ears, but with attention. The pulse of your heart, the rhythm of your breath, the slow turning of the earth beneath you. These are echoes of that cosmic song. When you breathe in, you draw in the same air shaped by the moon's tides. When you breathe out, your breath joins the planet's exhalation, part of the same global rhythm that connects mountains, oceans, and sky. Beyond all this, the sun continues its deep, golden hum. Its fusion produces sound waves that bounce through its interior, carrying messages about its heart. Some are high and quick, others slow and deep. Together, they form a pattern that never stops. A lullaby older than the earth itself. That hum travels outward, translated into the warmth that touches your face each morning. Every sunrise is a note in the sun's endless song. Even after the sun is gone, its music will remain. The energy it released will continue traveling outward forever, spreading thinner and softer until it merges with the background hiss of the universe. Somewhere, billions of years from now, that faint energy will still be moving, still singing. The cosmos never loses a melody, it only changes the tempo. And so, as you rest now, imagine yourself floating in that music. You are part of it, a chord made of starlight and thought, vibrating gently in the great dark. Every breath you take adds to the song. Every heartbeat is a drum. The spaces between your thoughts are rests in the universal score. You don't need to listen hard. The music is already here. It is in the warmth of the sun, the hush of the wind, the motion of the tides, the pulse in your wrist. You are the solar system's way of hearing itself. You are the universe, aware for a moment of its own rhythm. So let go. Let your thoughts drift into the quiet between beats. The song will continue without you needing to follow it. It has always been playing. It always will. Sleep softly, traveler. The universe hums around you, and its music will cradle you through the night. In the depths of space, there is more darkness than light. And yet, it is that darkness that makes the light matter. Between the stars stretch vast gulfs of emptiness, regions where no planet shines, no warmth flows, no sound can travel. But even there, the story continues. Every beam of sunlight, every whisper of radiation, every drifting atom still carries information, a fragment of the universe's unfolding song. The dark is not a void. It is the background that allows creation to glow. When you gaze into a night sky far from city lights, what you see is a slice of time. The faint stars are not where they appear to be. Their light began its journey long ago. Some of those stars may already have died, leaving only their light to testify that they ever existed. The universe we see is a museum of light, every photon a relic, every constellation a frozen moment. In that sense, when you look up, you are not seeing space. You are seeing memory. The planets, by contrast, live in the present. They move, spin, and reflect the sunlight of this moment. But even their light takes time to reach us. When you look at Mars through a telescope, you see it as it was minutes ago. When you watch Jupiter, you glimpse it nearly an hour in the past. The farther out you go, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, the longer that delay. What you see is always a little out of sync with what is. The speed of light is fast, but the universe is vast. In its enormity, even light takes its time. And yet, for all its distance, the light still connects us. The same rays that leave the sun touch every planet, moon, and comet in the system, shaping their skies and their rhythms. A beam of sunlight can travel to Earth, bounce off the ocean, reflect toward Jupiter, glance off one of its moons, and continue outward for billions of kilometers. A single photon crossing worlds before fading into silence. Light is the thread that binds the solar system together, weaving warmth and color into the black fabric of space. Far from the sun, light becomes weak but never disappears. Even Pluto, more than 5 billion kilometers away, receives enough to cast shadows. The sunlight there is pale, like the glow of dusk on Earth, but it still burns with the same energy, the same origin. It still warms the nitrogen ice, still stirs the thin atmosphere that briefly hovers before freezing again. That faint light, so far from home, is a promise, a message that even in the coldest dark, something still shines. Beyond Pluto, in the region where the sun's warmth fades into interstellar cold, there's a vast sphere of icy bodies called the Oort cloud. It marks the boundary between the sun's gravity and the galaxy's tides. Most of its objects are invisible, frozen and distant. But sometimes, one begins to move. It falls slowly inward, drawn by the faint pull of the sun. As it approaches, it begins to glow, shedding vapor and dust, becoming a comet, a ghost waking from sleep. Those comets are the messengers of the outer dark, carrying with them the oldest materials in the solar system, untouched since its beginning. One such traveler may have carried water and carbon to Earth billions of years ago. The oceans that now cradle life could have been born from the collision of ice and rock delivered from beyond the planets. In every drop of water, there is ancient starlight. In every cell, there is dust that once drifted through space. You, sitting here now, are part of that lineage. You are light slowed down into flesh, the universe contemplating itself. The sun's warmth ends somewhere, but its influence does not. The solar wind continues far beyond the last planet, filling a bubble of magnetic protection around us, the heliosphere. It pushes back against the thin gas between the stars, creating a frontier called the heliopause. Beyond that lies true interstellar space, where the sun's voice fades and the chorus of the galaxy takes over. It is a soft transition, not a wall, but a breath. The voyagers have crossed it now, carrying the golden records that speak for our world. Each probe is a small light in the endless night, powered by a fading heart of plutonium, sending whispers home across 20 billion kilometers of distance. Their signals reach Earth as faint pulses, weaker than a snowflake striking the ground. Yet from those whispers, we learn where they are, what they see, and what lies beyond. The data they send tells us of cosmic rays and plasma waves, the hum of the galaxy itself. They are our messengers to the stars, carrying not only information, but intention. Humanity, for all its fragility, has touched the edge of the sun's realm. We have left footprints not just on the moon, but in the dark between stars. If you imagine looking back from the Voyager's distance, the sun would be just another bright star, one among billions. Earth would be invisible to the naked eye, too small, too faint. And yet, from that perspective, everything you have ever known would fit into a single point of light. As Carl Sagan once said, that pale blue dot is home. It is where every human being has lived and loved and dreamed. To see it from afar is to realize how fragile it is, how precious, how utterly singular. In the vast dark, there is no sound of traffic or cities, no echo of voices, no breath of wind. Yet, if you could listen deeply enough, you would hear something. The low vibration of solar particles colliding with interstellar plasma, the slow rhythm of the universe breathing. The dark is not empty. It is full of quiet movement. Light travels, but it also bends. Around massive bodies like stars and planets, it curves, following the shape of gravity itself. When it passes near a black hole, it can be twisted and delayed, trapped for moments that last eons. Gravity sculpts the path of light like an artist shaping clay. The result is what astronomers call gravitational lensing, the magnification of distant galaxies by the mass of something invisible between us and them. In this way, darkness reveals light, and light reveals the unseen. The universe is full of mirrors made from gravity. One day the sun will fade. It will swell into a red giant, engulfing Mercury and Venus, possibly even Earth. Its outer layers will drift away in glowing waves, forming a nebula, a cloud of color that will light the sky of some future world. At its center will remain a white dwarf, no larger than Earth, but immensely dense, glowing with leftover heat. Slowly, over trillions of years, that ember will cool until it becomes invisible, a black dwarf, the final whisper of a star. Even then, the light it released long ago will still be moving, still traveling outward, touching worlds we will never see. The planets, too, will change. Jupiter may drift outward, carrying its moons into colder space. Saturn's rings will dissolve into mist. Neptune and Uranus may wander, their orbits perturbed by passing stars. Some moons will be captured by other planets. Others will be flung into the dark to become rogue wanderers. The solar system as we know it will evolve, slowly, beautifully, inevitably. And yet, nothing truly ends. The atoms that make our world, our bodies, our thoughts, they will endure. When the sun dies, those atoms will drift into new clouds of dust, where they will help form new stars, new planets, perhaps even new lives. The cycle will begin again, as it always has. Creation is not a single event, but a rhythm that repeats endlessly. The dark is not the opposite of light. It is its partner, its silence, its rest between notes. So breathe deeply and imagine the darkness not as absence, but as a gentle cradle. It is the space that holds the stars, the calm between pulses of light. Without it, There would be no contrast, no shadow, no sleep. Even the universe needs rest. Let that rest surround you now. The stars are still shining, the planets still turning, the comets still falling. The light is still traveling, carrying memories across eternity. Somewhere beyond, new stars are being born in clouds of dust. Glowing faintly in the quiet, the universe is still singing, and tonight, you are part of its song. Sleep softly, traveler. The dark will hold you gently, and when the light returns, it will find you renewed. Every world remembers. Even if no one walks upon it, no one names its mountains, no one breathes its air. Each planet and moon carries a memory written in stone, in ice, in gravity. The solar system is a library of time. Its pages are orbits and craters and clouds, and if you could read them all, you would know the story of everything that has ever happened here. Mercury remembers heat. Its surface is ancient and untouched, a landscape that has not changed for billions of years. Each crater is a sentence, each scar is a word. It is the record of an early chaos, a time when planets collided and the newborn sun burned fiercely. There are no winds to erase those marks, no rains to smooth them away. It is a place of pure history, frozen beneath eternal sunlight. Venus remembers pressure. Its atmosphere, thick and choking, preserves the memory of a world that might once have been like Earth. Perhaps there were oceans once, shallow and bright, and clouds of water instead of sulfur. But the balance shifted. The greenhouse grew stronger, and the seas boiled away. What remains is a world trapped inside its own heat, a cautionary echo written across the sky. The rocks of Venus remember a gentler time, even if we never see it again. Earth remembers everything. It remembers the birth of its oceans, the rise of continents, the slow breathing of glaciers. It remembers forests and deserts and the long migration of life from sea to shore. Its crust moves, its air changes, its pulse continues. Each fossil, each layer of rock, each swirl of weather is a line in the great autobiography of the living planet. And in that story, humanity is a single word, small, new, but bright. The moon remembers silence. Its craters are older than any word, older than any song. They have seen meteors that burned the sky before life began. The dust there holds the footprints of those who walked, but never truly stayed. They will last for millions of years, untouched by wind or rain. The moon remembers the moment when we reached upward, the time we stepped from our cradle and touched another world. It remembers because it never forgets. Mars remembers loss. Its dried riverbeds, its valleys and deltas, all tell the same story. There was once water, and now there is dust. The planet's heart cooled, its atmosphere thinned, its oceans evaporated into the sky and escaped into space. But the memory remains, written in minerals, frozen in the poles. If life ever arose there, its trace might still sleep beneath the red dust, waiting for sunlight to return. Mars dreams of what it once was, a dream it still whispers to our rovers as they pass. Jupiter remembers motion. Its storms, its belts of cloud, its auroras, all are patterns that repeat, changing yet constant. Deep inside its swirling layers, hydrogen becomes metallic, conducting lightning through an ocean of gas. Its memory is written in movement, not in stone, in the endless churn of storms that have spun for centuries. The Great Red Spot, the longest storm in the known universe, is a memory kept alive by wind. Saturn remembers grace. Its rings are a frozen dance, millions of tiny pieces of ice moving together in silent choreography. Each particle remembers the moon or comet it once was, something that shattered and found new form. The rings may not last forever. Someday they will fade, and Saturn will keep only the faint memory of that shimmering beauty. But for now, they circle endlessly, a song of light and time. Uranus remembers tilt. Once, long ago, something massive struck it, a collision so violent it knocked the planet onto its side. Its poles now point almost directly toward the sun, and its seasons are long and strange. For decades, one hemisphere glows in daylight while the other sleeps in darkness. Its memory is written in that tilt, a quiet record of cosmic accident now accepted as identity. Even planets, it seems, learn to live with what happened to them. Neptune remembers wind, in the farthest reaches of sunlight, where the warmth is dim and weak. Neptune's atmosphere still rages with the fastest winds in the solar system. The planet radiates more heat than it receives, a remnant of formation, a fire still burning deep within. Its memory is kinetic, invisible, alive. The winds there do not speak, but they carry the stories of every storm that ever moved across its blue face. Pluto remembers distance. Once called a planet, now a dwarf. It still circles the sun with patient loyalty. Its heart-shaped plane of ice glows faintly in the dim light, like a promise that affection endures even in exile. Beneath that surface may be an ocean, a hidden memory of warmth. Pluto is the story of belonging, of being cast aside yet still remaining part of the family, orbiting faithfully on the edge of the known. Even the smallest bodies remember. Asteroids hold the untouched material of the early solar system, fragments that never joined a planet. Comets remember the cold. Each time they fall toward the sun, they release a breath of vapor, a sigh from 4 billion years ago. Every meteor that burns in Earth's atmosphere is a letter from that ancient time, written in dust and light. And at the center of it all, the sun remembers everything. Its core still holds the energy of its birth, the pressure and heat from the collapse of the nebula that formed it. Every photon that leaves its surface is an echo of fusion, a note in a long, slow song. Those photons travel outward, touching worlds, illuminating craters, oceans, clouds, and faces. And in every reflection, every glint of light off an eye or mirror or a ring of ice, the sun's memory returns home. Memory is not just history, it is continuity. Even when things change, the memory remains, shaping what comes next. The planets remember their collisions, their orbits, their transformations. They carry those imprints into the future, like old stories retold in new forms. In that way, nothing in the solar system is truly separate. Every world, every particle, every orbit is connected through memory. And you too are part of that chain. The iron in your blood was forged in a star like the sun. The calcium in your bones was born in a supernova. The water in your veins may once have been part of a comet. When you breathe, you inhale atoms that have traveled from other worlds. When you look at the moon, its light touches your eyes and reflects back into space. You are made of memory, living in the present, carrying the past forward. So when you lie still tonight and your breath slows, imagine all those worlds drifting quietly around the sun, each one holding its own history, each one turning slowly in the great balance. The silence between them is not emptiness, it is remembrance. And within that silence, you too are remembered. By the atoms that have known stars, by the light that has traveled for ages to reach your skin, by the earth that holds you and the sky that listens. Rest now. The worlds are still turning. Their memories will keep watch until morning. The story of the solar system continues, quietly, gently, forever. Everything that exists, from stars to dust, survives by balance. The solar system itself is an orchestra of equilibrium, gravity and motion, attraction and momentum, all working together in silent perfection. If the planets moved even slightly faster, they would drift away from the sun. If they slowed, they would spiral inward and burn. Every orbit, every rotation, every heartbeat of celestial mechanics is a miracle of precision. The universe is not chaos. It is calm in motion. Here on Earth, balance takes many forms. The tilt of our planet creates the seasons, a gentle 23-degree lean that divides the year into rhythm and change. The atmosphere holds just enough carbon dioxide to trap warmth, but not so much as to smother life. Oceans circulate heat, air carries rain, plants trade breath with animals in a cycle of perfect exchange. For all its storms and quakes and fires, Earth's balance endures, always returning to center. It is not stillness that makes life possible, but motion in harmony. Beyond Earth, balance takes stranger shapes. On the moon, day and night last 2 weeks each, locked in tidal rhythm with Earth. That synchronization, that delicate gravitational embrace, keeps the moon facing us always, with the same side, stabilizing our tides, our climate, and perhaps even our evolution. Without the moon's pull, Earth might wobble wildly, and life as we know it could never have found its steady ground. The moon is a reminder that companionship, too, is a kind of balance. Jupiter keeps balance in a different way. Its immense gravity acts as a shield for the inner planets, sweeping up or deflecting countless comets and asteroids that might otherwise strike Earth. The Great Red Spot, spinning endlessly, is not just a storm, but an engine of stability within Jupiter's atmosphere. Even its chaos has purpose. Balance does not always mean peace. Sometimes it means persistence, a constant dance between forces that never rest, but never destroy each other completely. Saturn and its rings show another kind of equilibrium, beauty sustained by tension. The particles that make up the rings are caught between falling and flying away, held in place by invisible harmonies of gravity. Tiny shepherd moons guide them, shaping waves and gaps with each pass. From afar, it looks effortless. Perfect geometry, frozen in time. But up close, it is chaos, orchestrated into grace. Balance is not static. It is an eternal conversation. Uranus and Neptune move through balance of another kind. Patience. Their seasons last decades, their winds circle endlessly, their orbits remain faithful across centuries. They exist in a region where sunlight is weak and time is slow, yet they persist. Spheres of gas and ice keeping their rhythm with the distant sun. In their quiet loyalty lies a lesson. Even in dim light, there is steadiness. Even in cold, there is motion. Even at the edge of darkness, there is order. And then there is the sun itself, the perfect balance between pressure and gravity. Fusion pushes outward with unimaginable energy, while the star's own mass pulls inward, holding it all together. That harmony has lasted for more than 4 billion years. It is what keeps the solar system alive. If gravity were stronger, the sun would collapse into itself. If fusion burned too fast, it would explode. Instead, it hums in equilibrium, radiating warmth with calm, deliberate precision. A living balance, luminous and eternal. Every beam of sunlight that touches your skin is the result of that stability. The warmth you feel right now is the outcome of pressure and gravity holding hands for billions of years. Each dawn is an act of balance renewed. The sun rising once more, unchanged and yet completely new. Beyond the sun's reach, balance stretches into the interstellar dark. The boundary of the heliosphere, that invisible bubble that protects us from the galaxy's harsher radiation, is shaped by pressure between the solar wind and interstellar plasma. It breathes slowly, expanding and contracting as the sun's activity changes. When the voyagers crossed it, they found not emptiness, but equilibrium. The sun's last whisper meeting the galaxy's first breath. Even galaxies, immense and ancient, exist by balance. Their stars orbit the center, pulled inward by gravity, yet flung outward by motion. Dark matter, invisible and mysterious, provides the mass that keeps them whole. Without it, galaxies would tear apart, their stars flying into endless space. Balance is what gives the universe structure. From the smallest atom to the largest cluster of galaxies, the same principle holds. Everything survives by compromise, and that includes us. Our own lives are balances between work and rest, thought and silence, curiosity and acceptance. Our hearts beat by balance too, electrical rhythms that dance between contraction and release. When that rhythm falters, life becomes struggle. When it steadies, everything flows again. You, like the planets, are a pattern of motion kept alive by harmony. Even sleep itself is part of balance. The brain alternates between wakefulness and rest, consciousness and dream, gathering energy and releasing it. Night and day, like inhale and exhale, shape the rhythm of being. In the vastness of space, sleep is our way of returning to alignment, of finding stillness without stopping. When you close your eyes, you are not withdrawing from the universe. You are syncing with it. So tonight, as you lie under the same sky that the planets share, think of balance not as something you must achieve, but something that already exists, within you, around you, everywhere. The pull of gravity, the push of air, the glow of the sun, the rhythm of your breath, all are in conversation. The universe has been balancing itself for over 13 billion years. You are part of that balance now. Rest, not because you have to, but because the universe is resting with you. Breathe, because the earth breathes too. Float in the quiet, because the planets float as well. Calm, suspended, perfectly at peace. And when you drift into sleep, you are not falling away from the world. You are falling into its rhythm, into the same harmony that holds the stars. And now, we return, slowly, softly, from the outer dark toward the quiet warmth of home. We have drifted past planets and moons, past rings and storms, through silence and light. We have wandered through time itself, listening to the heartbeat of stars and the whisper of dust. Every world we visited, every shimmer of sunlight, every shadow in space, they are all part of the same story. The story of motion, balance, memory, and light. The solar system is not just a collection of worlds. It is a single living poem, written in gravity and time. The sun, its beating heart, sends warmth outward like a slow exhale. The planets respond, orbiting, spinning, reflecting, each with its own rhythm. Together, they create harmony, a choreography so precise that it has lasted for billions of years without a single misstep. When you think of it, the distances are impossible to imagine. The Earth, a small blue world, drifts 150 million kilometers from the Sun. Jupiter, 5 times farther. Neptune, 30. Beyond that, the edge of the heliosphere, where sunlight fades into galactic dusk. And yet, across all that emptiness, gravity holds everything together, invisible, patient, absolute. It is gravity that keeps planets in their paths, moons in their embrace, tides in their rhythm, and you on this earth, safe beneath the sky. You are connected to everything by that same invisible thread. The pull that moves galaxies is the same pull that keeps you grounded as you rest. When you lie still and feel the weight of your body against the bed, you are feeling gravity, the most ancient touch in the universe. And in that stillness, there is belonging. The same sunlight that warms the rings of Saturn touches your skin. The same starlight that reflects from Pluto's heart glints in your eyes. The atoms in your blood were born in the cores of stars that lived and died long before the sun existed. You are not beneath the cosmos. You are of it. Every breath you take carries molecules that have drifted across time, air that once passed through trees in ancient forests, or through the lungs of those who lived long before. Even the water in your veins is the same water that fell as rain on the first continents. The same water that formed the seas where life began. You are made of history, walking memory, a constellation made flesh. Look up, even if your eyes are closed. Imagine the stars not as distant fires, but as reflections of yourself, each one a point of light in a greater mind. Somewhere out there, a planet circles a different sun. Somewhere, other beings may be watching their own skies, wondering the same things, listening to the same silence. Across the distances, we are united by curiosity, by the will to look outward, and the longing to understand. For all its immensity, the universe is tender. It allows stars to form, but it also allows them to die softly, releasing their light like the final breath of a dream. It allows planets to freeze, but it also allows them to awaken. It allows dust to drift, but from that dust, it builds life. Every ending becomes the beginning of something else. In the great cycle of creation, nothing is wasted. Not even you, not even this moment. Perhaps that is what peace truly is. The understanding that you are already part of everything. That you don't have to reach for the stars. You are already within them. That you don't have to find meaning. You are meaning, given form for a short while. So, as the journey comes to an end, take one more deep, slow breath. Feel the earth beneath you, its quiet rotation, its slow orbit, its endless patience. Feel the sun's warmth, faint but constant, radiating across space to touch you. Feel the air moving gently around you, the same air that connects every creature that has ever lived. This is home. A small planet circling a yellow star on the edge of a spiral galaxy, drifting through a sea of light and silence. It is fragile, yes, but it is also miraculous. The one place in all we know where the universe can look at itself and smile. As you drift into sleep, imagine yourself floating above that world, seeing its blue oceans, its white clouds, its thin glowing atmosphere like a halo. The hum of humanity, the whisper of wind, the rhythm of tides, all of it blending into the same music, the same song that began with the birth of the sun. Let it carry you now, softly, gently, like a tide that always knows its way back. Let the stars fade into distance. Let thought dissolve into calm. Let the story become dream, because even in sleep, you are still traveling. The earth continues to turn. The moon still moves through its orbit. The sun still breathes light into space. The galaxies still spin. And you, a small part of it all, continue to move with them, resting in perfect harmony. So rest, traveler. You have seen enough for one night. The universe will keep turning. The light will still be there when you wake. Sleep well. Dream deeply, and remember, you are made of stardust, carried by gravity, and held forever in the gentle arms of the cosmos. Good night, and welcome home.